Hey, what's going on, guys? It's No Shoes, and we're back with another one. And today we're going to be reacting to Mockingbird plus something to talk about from Illogic and Blockhead. They're suggested by Damian Perry over in the Buy Me a Coffee. So thank you for the suggestion and the donation. I truly do appreciate it. If you want to check out the Buy Me a Coffee, it's down at the link tree in the description. We'll talk a little bit more about that later in the video. But Damian actually only suggested something to talk about. Unfortunately, this project is really hard to find anywhere online. So we're doing the bonus feature of Mockingbird just for some extra giggles. But without any further ado, let's get right into it. Let's see what Illogic and Blockhead have to let's see what Illogic has to say. Let's see what Blockhead got on the beat, and let's see what Mockingbird and something to talk about are all about. Let's get it. I know this sample. I've heard this.
Yeah. Listen to the music for insight to psyche. Meaning stays elusive if you're floating on the surface. Rise to my depths, no need to tread lightly. Nothing's ever meaningless, our words are full of purpose. Dance in the rain, be immersed in the downpour. A splash of insane keeps the soul alive. The puddles I reflect kill delusions of grandeur. The eye of the storm rainbows when it cries.
Yo, just gotta say, shout out Delusions of Grandeur. I don't think this is a reference to that. I'm pretty sure the timing wouldn't line up, but I did just check out Micah 9 for the first time. Delusions of Grandeur video went up on Monday. I think this video is going up on a Thursday. You owe yourself to check out Delusions of Grandeur by Micah 9 if you have not heard it. Please listen to it. Amazing track. Coming into this, vocals a little rough. Who knows what version of the song this was construed from? It's the vocal sounds really robotic. It's on the edges. It's kind of harsh, kind of wacky, but like the sample's nice. I kind of like how it's like da 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 dum dum dum, and you kind of got this like slow pulse, and then the kick comes in. It's like dum 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 dum. So then it's hitting like a double time over top of that bass line. It's got a nice feel to it in that regard.
The downpour, a splash of insane keeps the soul alive. The puddles I reflect kill delusions of grandeur. The eye of the storm rainbows when it cries. Minstrel of melodic pencil strokes of genius captivates.
Rainbows when it interesting storms rainbows when it cries. And I feel like in that way is like trying to break apart, like, obviously like rainbows rain, the childish thing of like, oh, God's crying, so it's raining, maybe a linkage there. But I feel like he's also kind of trying to break like rain bows, put like a hyphen or a dash, whatever, in the middle there, maybe trying to split that apart somehow.
Of melodic pencil strokes of genius captivates the fans and fascinates passers-by. Blessed with the gift of words to gather legions. A gift is in your belly if you cast the fear aside. Started digging graves when my eyes opened. Pickaxe and shovel at the time were the tools of choice. Sound waves were buried due to lack of focus. Attempts to raise the dead overshadowed the need to raise a voice. So I took a chance to cradle.
Damn, attempts to raise the dead overshadowed the need to raise a voice. Damn, that's a hard bar. Love the flute. Always down for some rap flute. I highly encourage more people to make rap flute tracks. What's funny is the instrumental sounds very clean. And I encountered this recently with a Count Bass D track that featured MF Doom, where the vocal just, it's Doom and it's great and it's written well and everything, but like the production and the recording and the mixing of the vocal definitely left some wanting. And I'm wondering if this is one of those tracks where, like maybe just the best microphone wasn't used in the best room, and like just, they got it out and they were there for the bars and that was the focus rather than like making a super clean vocal recording. And maybe that's why it has that type of quality to it, because the way I think of it is like you can hear the microphone, you can hear the technology in it. And a lot of the time, the best way for things to be is transparent. You don't want to hear the computer. You don't want to hear the microphone. You just want to hear that person's voice.
airwaves were buried due to lack of focus. Attempts to raise the dead overshadowed the need to raise a voice. So I took a chance to cradle the catastrophe, providing subtle comfort that could nurse it back to health. Crashed advance before pressing a CD. Surprised the classic gathered dust from the shelf. Often the results of failure to comply with the status quo of image shapers building of a star. Place your soul in the hands of those who sold theirs on the fly and claim grounded in the fervor of knowing who you are. Hush, little mockingbird, your song.
Nice kind of mix between like breaking the bar line and staying clean, like within the borders of the bars. Good push on the flow, kind of more like a spoken word, talking over the beat type of feeling, rather than like trying to get in the beat. There's some beats where like instead of following like a pocket or anything, you just kind of decide like, nah, I'm just gonna talk over it. And I like the feeling of that. Those are fun tracks.
When who you are. Hush, little mockingbird, your song is drowning. Vulture circle in the carcass, spinning dizzy for lunch. The sinking feeling and hopes of reeling in it yesterday seemed tangible before the line was inked. But for once, you have to live with the choices you've made. The games you played were fun until you had to pay the price. But if you never lose a step and trek the steepness of the stairwell, elevation is the standard by which to measure life.
Oh, damn. Elevation is the standard by which to measure life. Talking about like stairwell, elevation, maybe trying to climb higher, all of those different things. And there's some really nice delay going on in this track. It's just subtle enough, but you can feel it is like this kind of bubbling, like repetition of the last bar, kind of underlying the next bar, and it's really got a nice feel to it. Really adds to like that dark type of feeling it seems like the art's trying to instill, and just vibes with the rest of the feeling of the track.
But if you never lose a step and trek the steepness of the stairwell, elevation is the standard by which to measure life.
Okay, and
Cool.
so I don't know this for certain. I haven't heard these before, as usual. But I'm guessing that's the end of Mockingbird, and now we're about to start something to talk about. Something interesting, I feel like at the end of Mockingbird was I wouldn't say the vocal at the end went to like sounding perfect, but the vocal in the second half of that certainly sounded better. It sounded like it was recorded on a different microphone, like sound like maybe it just it didn't have that like harsh like around the edges. You know what? Sorry you guys just had to watch me make that sound. As you might have realized, I have very little filter, especially once you turn the lights on and put a microphone in my face. But but yeah, I'd be curious to find out about that because the vocal at the end sounds nothing like the vocal at the beginning, besides the fact that it sounds like it was the same guy. You know what I mean?
And if it's the type of crowd that doesn't like to shout, fuck it. I give them something to chew on, something to talk about.
What up, y'all? It's Illogic, Blockhead. Yo, tired of listening to cats talk about their cars and clothes and stuff, you know what I'm saying? Cats need to talk about something that means something, you know what I mean?
Let's give them something to chew on.
Got the classic, like old school kind of conversational intro, giving kind of like much clearer vocal. It sounds great. Sounds like it was purposefully done in kind of like a telephone, walkie-talkie-ish type of sound. But and what's interesting about that is a lot of times you realize is like our voices get compressed to like the mid frequencies, and that kind of gives them that sound. But let's keep it going.
Stuff, you know what I'm saying? Cats need to talk about something that means something, you know what I mean?
Let's give them something to chew on, something to hold,
Okay.
something tangible that edifies the soul,
Right.
something to make them move, something to make them think. I just want you to take something with you when you leave.
Okay.
Let's give them something to chew on, something to talk about, something to chew on, something to talk about, something to chew on, something to talk about. You're gonna leave for if you had doubt. Clean out your eyes and your ears.
Cool. Okay. Nice kind of transition. So we went from like intro into what I would call a hook. I'd be surprised if that doesn't come back. It's got some nice repetition. There's some nice layering. The vocals kind of placed into the instrumental rather than above it, which For a verse, I don't think works, but for a hook, it works well. It get, maybe the vocal could have been pulled out a little bit, but compared to where we started this, it's amazing, right? Um, I like it. It's a nice feel, something to talk about, something to chew on, seems like they're giving us some food for thought, maybe. Let's see.
That you want something to talk about. You're gonna leave for if you had doubt. Clean out your eyes and your ears. I've tried for some time to relate to my peers. I've shed my skin, metamorphosized and shed a few tears. Dismantled destiny's melody to gain a few years. I've stripped virtue down to its unmentionables. Fell asleep on the freeway, got together with love and life for a three-way. Tempted to find what makes you tick to predict action. Kill the noise, cause you toys are void of passion. Every walk across a burning bridge.
Yeah, love the change in the instrumentation. Those those little horn stabs. Nice choice. Nice feel to the drums. There might be a little bit extra going on in there. There's definitely like a longer sustained kind of like higher pitched melody layer that's going on up in the top. And by the way, I said we would talk about the Buy Me a Coffee. We're going to talk about it. Check out that link tree in the description. You can support me, support the channel over there, get access to extra content, get access to the Discord. There's stuff on there that is just never going to make it to the channel. It's just, I make a lot of things. I'm in school. I do a lot of different stuff. There's a lot of fun projects I make, and not all of them fit what we do here, but they're all cool in their own way. And so check that out if you want to support. I truly do appreciate everybody who supports already, like Damien, who suggested this video and donated for it to happen. And also, Dabda, the instrumental edition, that releases on May 1st, 5/1/25, 3 months after the release of the original cut of Dabda with vocals and all. If you haven't heard the original, check out the link tree in the description. If you want to hear the instrumentals, check out the link tree. If you want to go to Buy Me a Coffee, check out the link tree. Everything's down there. I really appreciate anybody who does go down there and check it out. Much love. Let's keep it going.
Kill the noise, cause you toys are void of passion. Every walk across a burning bridge is once around my block. If I could talk to these kids, I wouldn't say a whole lot, cause in their minds they know what is and what dies.
I like that. If I could talk to these kids, I wouldn't say a whole lot. I feel like I'm jumping to conclusions, but this is probably where he's going, is because they ain't gonna listen. They ain't gonna learn nothing, man.
If I could talk to these kids, I wouldn't say a whole lot, cause in their minds they know what is and what dies. They see if you're genuine or if you genuinely lie. It's obvious a novice only wants direction when he's lost, but a seasoned warrior seeks guidance before he starts. To avoid the beast, wrong turns and sand traps, drug burns, Freudian slips, anthrax and ego trips. Experience the catalyst for pet beat.
Yeah, the vocal, I wouldn't say it's mixing, but these highlight like that sustained melody Lara is kind of talking about is really starting to rear its head more and more. And maybe it's a new instrument entirely that just started to come in, but it feels like it's like filling up the space in my ear that the vocal was filling up before. And it's not that they're detracting from each other, but they're not really complementary. There's like sometimes where, in the creation of something like this, or like when you make a montage, you have something that is greater than the sum of its parts. So you do 2 + 2 and you get 5, and that's actually true. Not it mathematically, but in the spirit of what we're discussing. And I feel like right now we're adding 2 + 2 and we're getting like 3.5. You know what I mean? Maybe even we're just getting 4. They're both next to each other. They're both working, but I think they could work well together to create something greater if there was some tweaking done between those melody, higher frequencies, the stuff that's occupying the same space as the vocal.
Freudian slips, anthrax and ego trips. Experience the catalyst for pet beats to be leashed. Cage partially fed and never released till pleasure's deceased. I'll take every measure to be speech and body ink till everybody's reached by what I teach. Let's give them something to chew on, something to hold, right? Something tangible that edifies the soul. Something to make them move, something to make them think. I just want you to take something with you when you leave. Let's give them something that you want, something to talk about, right? Something that you want, something to talk about. Something that you want, something to talk about. You're gonna leave full if you had doubt. Hold my hand, the promised land is just over.
Nice. Come back to the hook. I'm a fan. Excuse me. I don't know what what's going on there. But yeah, I think the thing for me right there is when we went back to the hook, you could really hear it. There's really no change in the way that the vocal is mixed for the verse versus the hook. Is that wrong? No. Can you do that? Absolutely. But detracts benefit from having you almost all music is loud, quiet, loud, quiet, loud, quiet. That's just human beings like that. Our brain compares things. It checks for stimuli. It's like a difference machine. The when two things contrast each other, a lot of the time we enjoy that. And I think right now, this track, while it's fun and it's cool, it does feel just kind of like a little flat. And again, I do want to say that with a grain of salt. This is some random person's re upload of two songs jammed together. I have no idea if this is the highest quality version that exists or what. But, we can only talk about what we got in front of us, right?
For the cliff, follow me to the edge. Take a dive if you wish. Make some ripples in the lake. Disturb the landscape. Go all out. Put extra syrup on your pancakes. See, everything is everything and nothing's still something. Decorate altar for marrying. Pleasure in this.
That's fun. Everything's everything and nothing's still something. There's some really cool like one-liners in here. I'm really enjoying the content of his lyrics, even if we're not catching everything.
Something decorate altar for marrying, pleasure in dysfunction. The union you're carrying negates the punching. So the time card you're burying displays your independence. Listen, the difference between an activist and politician, one has action with conviction. The latter's just bullshit. You make the choice on how to use your voice. Come on, say something when you speak. Don't just make noise because noise can be silent.
And before we get into another new section where they bring in some other crazy instrument, which it sounds like they're about to, there's a lot of fun synth work on here. I don't want to make it seem like I'm hating on the melody, but what you can tell is when we finally get to the point where they drop out the melody and all those other instruments, and it's basically just like a bass line, the kit, and the vocal, all of a sudden, his vocal sounds really good, at least to my ear. So that tells me there's something happening in there. The EQs, maybe some sidechain compression, whatever it is between that vocal and those higher layers that are somehow like masking with it or interacting. There's some adjustment that could be done there to get the vocal to sound the same over top of those as it does over the bass line in the kit. And that's really where I think we could find a lot of strength in this track.
Say something when you speak, don't just make noise because noise can be silent. Substance is infectious. Noise breeds violent. Substance resurrects us. Watch your step, check your soul, cause something stinks and it ain't your breath. I saw you brush your teeth. See you raw TV and cigarettes.
That's fun. Something stinks, it ain't your breath. I saw you brush your teeth. That's cool. That's cool. Like, just something's going on. Something's fishy. I know it. And I know that it's not that. That's an interesting way to put it.
Something stinks and it ain't your breath. I saw you brush your teeth. See you raw TV and cigarettes till you pass out. Elevator music and drug addiction made you lash out. It seems you need a stand-in to stand out. You can't starve and you're gonna leave full if you had doubts.
I do really like that new instrument they added. It sounds like, I don't know, some type of like plucked string with that's like being kind of like quickly muted, but the way it's kind of like it's hitting like a triplet over top of the regular over like the eighth note bass that we have on the beat. So we getting like dun, 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 dun. And that's got a nice way of kind of like, I don't know, the way it like shifts around the pocket in the emphasis when you start throwing triplets over top of something that's done like straight. That's a fun way to play around.
You had doubts. Give them something to chew on, something to hold, something tangible that edifies the soul, something to make them move, something to make them think. I just want you to take something with you when you leave. Let's give them something that you want, something to talk about, something that you want, something to talk about, something that you want, something to talk about. You're gonna leave full if you had doubts.
This is fun. That was cool. That was really cool, y'all. I like the end there. You know, like I was saying during the video, is do I think it's perfect, at least to my ear and my taste and everything? No. Do I even know if that's the best version of that song out there? Best one I could find, let me tell you. But again, thank you to Damian Perry for the suggestion and the donation. I truly do appreciate it. Thank you to all of you that already support over at the Buy Me a Coffee. Those of you that are part of the Discord and those of you that listen to my music. You guys truly make a difference in my day-to-day life, and I am forever grateful for that. So thank you guys. Thank you for watching. If you want to see more videos like this, don't forget to hit like, hit subscribe, hit that bell. Check out the link tree in the description. Leave me some suggestions in the comments if I can figure out how to speak. And much love. I'll see y'all next time.